Hola, buenos días chicos y chicas. Welcome to another video. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about 3 mistakes that I made while learning Spanish. And I want to preface this video by saying that these are not things that I wish I would have done more efficiently or better. Like, these are not things that I wish I would have done differently in order to make my Spanish learning quicker or more efficient or better. Because the truth is, I did not learn the most efficient way. I've talked a lot on this channel about how I'm a big fan of Duolingo. If you know anything about Duolingo, then you also know that it's not the most efficient tool, and there's a lot of other tools out there that are not efficient, but they are fun for a lot of people. And if you're a language learner, you already know by now that 100% of language learners will recommend the same thing, and that's just that you enjoy the process. Pretty much everyone is in agreement about that the most important thing is to enjoy the process, right? Because otherwise, why are you learning in the first place? And you're also going to lose motivation if you're not enjoying it. So that's pretty obvious. So in this video, I'm not going to be talking about those things I could have done better or more efficiently. I'm just talking about things that I personally wish I would have done, but more from like a personal perspective, things that I would change the next time I learn a language, for example. And this is going to be a short video because there's only 3 of them I thought of. So the first one, and this is huge, guys. I wish I would have recorded myself more in the beginning. You know, I have this YouTube channel now, I'm recording myself now, and the reason for that is because I'm now confident in my Spanish level. Before I was confident, I didn't feel comfortable documenting it, and that was a huge mistake on my part for a number of reasons. One, it would have been awesome for the channel. I would have loved if you guys would have been able to see like me in my first couple months, you know. I think my earliest video is from around 8 months learning Spanish, but that's still like late in the process. By the time you've been learning for 8 months, you're already, you know, comfortable with basic vocabulary. You can formulate basic sentences. It would have been awesome to see like day 1 Leo, like this is where I was at, week 1, week 2, even a couple months in, you know, just like I said, it would have been awesome for the channel, but it would also be great motivation for me to like look back now to have that documented and just to see my total process, my entire process. You know, it would have been amazing. So next time I learn a language, which I'm already thinking what my next language might be, I'm going to make a video about that in the near future. But I'm definitely going to make sure to record myself from the beginning, even if it's just short videos, just to kind of see where I'm at. Maybe I record an italki lesson, something like that. Big mistake. So if you're a beginner watching this video, or honestly, if you're at any level in your Spanish, I encourage you to start documenting it because I think your future self will definitely thank you. Okay, so my second regret, or the second thing that I would do differently, is in the beginning, not even like just the beginning, but throughout my Spanish language journey, I feel like I've done way too much passive listening. You guys know there's 2 different types of listening. There's passive listening when you're not really paying attention, but it's just there. And then active listening where you're really focused in on it. And studies tell us, and intuition also tells us, that active listening is when we really learn, right? When we sit down, focus on what we're listening to, try to parse what's going on. You know, if you're learning a language, you're trying to catch the words that you know, understand as much as you can. You go back and re-listen to things. It's an active process, right? And in the beginning, I did so much passive listening. I did a ton of passive listening. And I don't know, I had heard different advice from different people, like, oh, it's good to listen to stuff, like, even if you're not totally focused or not totally understanding, you're just kind of getting a feel for the language, you're exposing yourself to the language, like the different tones that are used, I don't know, people seem to think that you learn that way by osmosis, but I don't know, I think I think maybe there was some of that, maybe there was some benefit to it, but I think it was really overshadowed by the fact that what I was doing was training myself to ignore Spanish. Because in the beginning, I would put on podcasts that were way too difficult for me, audiobooks that were way too difficult, YouTube videos that were way too difficult. I would understand like 10% of it, and I would just start to like tune stuff out. And I found that I would stop paying attention to it. And again, this could be controversial because I think there are like some really popular language learners that will say the opposite, that it is good just to play Spanish in your ears all the time while you're cooking, while you're driving, whatever, even if you can't focus on it. And I'll say now it's a little bit different because now that I have like a higher level of Spanish, I can put on a podcast or a video as long as it's not like too advanced while I'm doing something else, and I can kind of multitask and pay attention. But when you're a beginner or intermediate, I just don't think that's possible. I feel like you have to really be focused on what you're listening to in order to get the benefit from it. And again, I feel like if you're not super focused, all you're doing is training yourself to sort of tune out the language. And that's obviously not good because it makes it harder in the future to be able to really focus on your listening skills. Yeah, so lately what I've been trying to do is if I am in a multitasking scenario and I do want to practice my Spanish, maybe I'll put on music that's in Spanish. I feel like that's better because I can kind of zone out and come back in and out and in. I don't have to be focused on it 100% of the time while I'm listening. But I try not to do as much passive listening anymore. And when I learn my next language, I'm definitely going to focus a lot more on active listening, more so than passive. Okay, and then the final regret that I have, and I think this is one that a lot of people have when learning Spanish, is not using it enough in their daily life. Yeah, I mean, even now, like, I struggle to use it in daily life. Even now that I have an advanced level, I feel like sort of a lack of confidence. Like, it's usually more about listening actually than speaking. I feel pretty confident in my speaking. So like, let's say I go to a restaurant and I see the workers are speaking Spanish or something. I would feel comfortable ordering in Spanish, but then I would worry like, oh, what if they tell me something and I don't understand it? And this is all based on real life experience too. Like, these are things that have happened to me where I've ordered and I remember one time specifically, the lady working the cash register was like, algo más? But at that point in my Spanish, I didn't understand that algo más is like, do you want anything else? And so I was like, huh? I was like really confused. And that's such like a small thing. It shouldn't be a deterrent for me. It shouldn't be like a source of embarrassment, but it is. It is. Because obviously, like I said, like, huh? What, can you repeat that? And then she eventually had to say it in English and I understood, but it was a learning experience, right? And so that's why, like, this is one that I'm still sort of improving upon. Like, I'm still learning how to be more open in public and encourage myself to use my Spanish more in daily life. Especially early on, it's so important just to kind of get used to breaking that barrier and being uncomfortable. It's a good thing. And, like, I'll shout out to Mike Ben, I've talked about him before on my channel. I have an interview with him. I love all of his content. But this is something he talks about all the time, is, like, using your Spanish in daily life. And him and a lot of other YouTubers are really an inspiration for me, how they go out in public and they'll record videos with people. That's kind of, for me, where I see my channel going. Like, the next level is trying to do more stuff out in public with people in real life, interacting with the Spanish language, interacting with the culture and the people. Yeah, that would be awesome. All right, so that's really all I had for this video. Like I said, guys, short video. But please let me know in the comments, no matter where you are in your Spanish journey. I'm curious to know, like, what things would you change if you could go back in time, or when you learn your next language, what things would you do differently? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.